Yes, Mr. Shoskelson.
Thank you, Chair.
Good afternoon. And good afternoon, Mr. Mogotsi.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Mogotsi, there was a point in your testimony yesterday where you actually addressed topics beyond your statement. And you spoke, if I took it down right, about your theory of misdirection. Was it misdirection?
That's correct.
And because it's not in the statement, I just want to clarify that I understood what you were saying in this regard. So I'm going to set out my understanding of your evidence, and I just want you to call me up if I haven't got it right. Your basic thesis, as I see it, is that the July speech of General Mkhwanazi was a misdirection tactic. It was designed to divert attention from other things. I see you nodding. Can you just say yes for the record?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
And if I understood you correctly, the two main things that General Mkhwanazi wanted to divert attention away from were both linked to his friend and colleague, General Khumalo. The first was the problems with the PKTT allegedly being used to fight political battles in KwaZulu-Natal. And the second was to do with corruption and crime intelligence.
That's correct.
So I want to take each of these topics separately and just see if I understand your proposition correctly. In relation to what you say about the PKTT being used to fight political battles in KZN, you gave some evidence about the PKTT allegedly victimizing Prince Simakadi in the royal family dispute.
That's correct.
And here I just need some clarity, because I did understand you to suggest that the PKTT was being used to fight former Minister Qele's battles in KZN ANC politics, and that the Crime Intelligence Division was being mobilized for this purpose. And at least that's what I understood you to have in mind when you referred to the WhatsApp message about the Sindiso Magaqa case in your chats with Mr. Matlala.
Yes, but it should be properly contextualized in the sense that about Bheki Cele, it should not be noted as I said, it is him using it for political scores in the KZN, not necessarily former Minister Cele using the PKTT for political battles in the KZN. That I did not say.
So that you didn't, are you suggesting that the PKTT is being used for political scores?
Yeah, but mostly by General Mkhwanazi, it is actually used to achieve a different objective from that is actually intended for.
And what objective would this be?
Let me give you an example. In the case of Kat being arrested, or when the PKTT went to his house, one would imagine, Commissioners, how, because during General Mkhwanazi's statement, he said, not the statement, when he had a press conference, he said the PKTT was in Gauteng to assist in some of the cases. And amongst that, and out of the blue, then I don't know how they ended up going to Kat Matlala's house, which you will ask, was Kat Matlala a target, meaning was he one of the suspects, or Kat Matlala, did he fall within their scope of operation, meaning was he also one of the suspects in the sense that it is meant for political killing, task team for political killings, or including councillors and so forth, but was Kat a target because of any wrongdoing? His crime, was it falling under the category of what the PKTT is meant for? Not only that, let me bring another case of the PKTT. You should just see when they should execute just a search and seizure warrant. It was on TVs. they will come with 4 or 5 cars just to come to Brown Mogotsi to fetch 2 phones. Even when they went to General Sibia, they went at night with so many vehicles from KZN. Those cars are KZN vehicles. But if it's a search and seizure, isn't it appropriate to be notified? Look, here's the search and seizure warrant. We want these following items because they've got email numbers of cell phones and all the things they want, and then they collect them. But you can see the system that they use. They will bring the massive a way of threatening people and so forth. That's how I believe they are using them.
You did yesterday refer to a post about the murder of Sindiso Magatra.
Yes.
And that's the post on pages 77 to 78 of your witness statement. Can you just go there?
Mr. Chairperson, which bundle?
The witness, it's part of the chats. So it's in the, sorry, it's the annexure bundle, not the witness statement bundle. Was that Mr. Magatra, as I understand it, was murdered for blowing the whistle on corruption in Umzum. And that he was actually killed by crime intelligence operatives who'd been allegedly used to target a number of ANC councillors in KZN. That's certainly the theory of that post.
Yes, that's the theory.
And the post also alleges that Minister Cele and General Kumalo have allegedly been covering this up together with Brigadier Lushaba, who's mentioned at the end of the post.
According to this message, yes.
Is that something you associate yourself with or not?
Yeah, you see, this message was sent by Kat Matlala. Now, the message as is, if we look at the message, it also talks about the vehicle that was used, that was a vehicle owned by the crime intelligence, including imagine a recovered firearm or a rifle, which is recorded and booked in the SAP 13. Then imagine how does it get released from SAP 13. And you find that it has been used to murder another person. Now, this came from Kat, and now you can see that how the whole thing is narrated with names, amount of money paid, and everything. This is the story I was associating myself to.
So that's what we have heard in relation to your testimony on the first of those topics, the PKTT. If we go to the second one, which you say General Mkonazi's speech was designed to divert attention away from, that topic you've said is corruption in crime intelligence.
That's correct.
And that's what you say you've been investigating?
Corruption in crime intelligence, that's correct.
So I'm just trying to identify the topics that you've canvassed there. You mentioned the case of Brigadier Lushaba yesterday.
That's correct.
You talked also about the plot to frame General Khan.
That's correct.
I think you mentioned in your evidence yesterday vehicles being bought with secret funds that are not properly accounted for.
It was one of the tasks given in the first place. That's correct.
Certainly in your chats with Mr. Matlala, we also see references to a property that's allegedly bought with secret funds that are not properly accounted for.
Yes, now this is where the interest starts. I believe even over the weekend, there was a publication from News 24. It talks about the IGI report. I don't know how they got it, where the secret fund was being abused to buy these properties. And if you check, that's one part of the work that I did. There's a property which was bought for 22 million rand. There is a proof of transaction from the deed office. And what will surprise you most, it is bought under the name of an individual company. Then you ask yourself a question. What will happen if this individual passes on? How will the state ever recover this property?
Sorry, it's bought under the name of an individual person, not an individual. But bear in mind that I'd ask you not to mention names or details because we are talking about classified information.
That's correct.
So the material in your chats should not be made public. But can you just clarify for me? It was bought in the name of an individual as opposed to the name of a company.
Yes, that's why I use the name individual company. A company, at the end of the day, it is registered under a human being. So there is a person in these messages on BM 7.30 and the ID number, who owns that company. Page 70 and 71. Now,
so somebody's name is there?
There is somebody's name, and then when you check this is the address of the property, and whoever who got so lucky to have this property on her name, she even advertised that her spa has moved to this new property, Beauty Spa. And there's also proof of the title deed from the deed office, and the name of the company is also there. When you go to this search of the company, she's the only director. She's not a member of SABC. She's not even employed in South African Police Service.
Yes, but obviously every company will have a director, a person who is a director. But I don't want to get into the details of that at the moment. I understand what your concern is. For present purposes, I just want to try to itemize what you see as the issues of corruption inside crime intelligence that have been the subject of your investigation. We see in your chats also a reference to the allegedly improper appointment of Brigadier Mokwele.
That's correct.
And we know that that's the subject matter of charges against General Khumalo that were brought by Mr. Fadil Adams.
That's correct. And just to add, the same case, which could not be opened in Gauteng, that's how Mr. Fadil Adams opened the case in Cape Town. It could not be investigated. He came to Soweto. It could not be investigated. That's when the Section 27 referral to IDEC came to being. And after that investigation, Major General Khumalo was arrested alone for the first time. He was granted bail. When he got arrested for the second time together with General Khumalo and the others, that's when during the press conference of General Mkhwanazi, he was very furious and did not even tell the public that this man was arrested for another matter. He could not be granted bail. Then he attacked the magistrate to say, what kind of a presiding officer who will deny a person who is working in the employment of the state bail, and why would he impose bail conditions that prohibits them from entering crime intelligence offices? Like I said yesterday, that magistrate recused himself from the case.
these charges that were laid by Mr. Adams, did they have anything to do with your investigation?
No, I knew about the matters. It was not my investigation.
And did your handler play any role in them, to your knowledge?
No, only the one of the lady, they call it docket 38, yes. The docket 38. It was that one of housebreaking, which the crime intelligence officer, through his gathering, realized that it was not housebreaking, actually, it's perjury and defeat in the hands of justice.
And that's what you spoke about yesterday in relation to, is it Brigadier Lushaba?
That's correct, which led to his first arrest, that when he got arrested for the second time, he was the only one who couldn't be granted bail.
Is there anything in relation to those two topics, the alleged misuse of the PKTT and the alleged corruption in crime intelligence, that we haven't addressed here?
Yes. There is also the purchase of a forklift that was purchased by the slush fund. And purchase a forklift is usually around the most expensive, which works in the mine, will be 350,000. That one, we don't even know where it is working. It was purchased for almost 900,000.
Sorry, for?
900,000 rand.
And is that what your investigation revealed?
Yes, and that one, there are proofs, just that it was not in the statement, but I believe I'm in a position to get the proofs. And there's another, in relation to the crime intelligence, the corruption we are talking about. There are three things that usually happen. One of them, it is the reason, commissioners, after receiving the notice to appear before the commission, when I approached my counsel, the advice was there is no need to come here. I am not obliged to say anything here. Commissioners, my intention, I wanted to help this commission. That's why I'm here. And I'm raising this because I'm going to touch on very, very critical matters, which will also affect me. And I also need the commission to note, I'm coming here at my own cost. I'm paying my protection. I believe Mr. Chattelson and the rest, I've pushed my legal team to engage them, saying, after this commission, I may need protection. And I even said, I was very much disturbed when my life was attempted, in forced lawyers. Before I could even give a statement, because people thought I'm a Superman, I'm trying to lie that I was moving like this inside, in the riddle of bullets, whereas by luck, I don't know what happened. It was only one shot because those people followed me for so long. I thought they could not find me. When they saw my car, they fired a shot. I managed to drive because they were driving on a speed 10 left on that particular street. Fortunately, they passed to go and make a U-turn. That's when I ran for my life. But before I could even give the statement, they were saying, hey, this may be a staged assassination, and that's what made me very worried. It was presented as if after that incident, I will say, I don't want to come here. I wanted to come here. Now, here are the things in the crime intelligence that I wish the commission should. It's about this informant. The handler is alive. I'll provide the name of the handler at any given time. It was about the cash in transit which happened in Limpopo. There was a success, 17 people died in that. That informant was the 18th person, but did not die. Because of the nature of the operation, we knew he was alive. And he came to Gauteng. The only problem started with a claim. It was 1 million rand that was requested, could not be approved. It's one of, commissioners, if can remember, it's one of the thing I gave example about. The source said 1 million came out. He still cannot give the proof. But the 50,000 rand which was prepared to be given to this informant finally came out. And General Kumalo, Lieutenant General Kumalo, insisted and instructed that Brigadier Sebola must accompany the handler to meet with the informant, something which was very strange. But with the pressure, because there's always this feeling that when the handler is giving money, they share the money with informant or whatever, but there's always a challenge. But this is what happened. They went to meet the informant. Brigadier Sebola wanted the contact numbers of this informant. The handler couldn't agree, but because when you meet someone, you never know other arrangements which were made. This informant spoke to me. This informant spoke to the handler that I'm being followed. I'm being followed ever since we met. Commissioner's dead informant was shot 16 bullets and was buried. Another incident, and these are only happening in the cash in transit. And one will wonder, what is the reason why there is a problem with CIT informants? This one happened in Gauteng.
Mr. Charles, is that still an answer to your question?
I think, Mr. Mogotsi, we should possibly canvass these issues separately on the basis of a separate statement, because if there is detail that requires investigation, I think that we should do that before we canvass it in open commission.
Okay. Commissioners, the question was, is there anything that I want to raise that is not in the statement around corruption in the crime intelligence? That was the question, and I said, yes, I do have.
No, I did ask that question, okay. But I think it would be better for us to canvass it. If you're going to give specific allegations, then I think we need to canvass them, investigate them, and we can do that. But I want to...
Sorry, Mr. Chairperson, may I just... and I accept the way you're going to proceed, and I think that's a correct way to do it. But I would like to raise this. You are mentioning names. You've mentioned Sebola.
That's correct.
Are you accusing him of anything? And I think in fairness to him, on this very public platform, you should say what it is you're accusing him of, and you have the facts to back it up. Because if you don't have the facts, and if you are not accusing him of anything, you need to say it.
I'm not accusing him of anything. I'm saying it is very strange for anyone to accompany the handler
to meet the informant. I have to stop you.
Okay.
I have the answer. You're not accusing him of anything.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
So, yesterday when you were speaking about General Mkonazi's speech and the misdirection tactic, you said that the speech was typed in Pretoria and you described it as being akin to a coup. You recall that?
That's correct, Commissioners.
Now, who do you say were the plotters in that process, in this process that you say was akin to a coup?
Thank you, Commissioners. At first, as we know that it is not a protocol for a provincial commissioner to call that kind of a press conference, where a national commissioner, I'm saying, is in a better place to have called that press conference. And by the fact that the National Commissioners, he saw nothing wrong after the press conference was called. And the National Commissioner, still today, he never even condoned the doings of General Mogotsi. I can say they were together in this.
Is there anybody else you would accuse of that?
It's obviously General Mogotsi during the press conference, he was very angry about the arrest of Lieutenant General Khumalo. And this term that I feel of this police mafia cartel, I may not be able to know everyone who was involved, but I can assure you General Khumalo, General Mogotsi, and General Masamula crafted, orchestrated that press conference.
And if we look at the people on the other side, people against whom these alleged coup plotters were plotting, the people on the other side, the people against whom these alleged coup plotters were plotting, let's take those two topics that you say the press conference was designed to divert attention away from. Who's been concerned about the allegedly unlawful use of the PKTT? Who are the people who
are concerned?
Who are concerned about it?
One of them was, I even saw Mrs. Mary Haas. I know of one socialist, very vocal, Patricia Mashali. And as we speak now, I believe in terms of the law, the letter which Minister Senzo Mchunu issued, it was never contested in any court of law, it was never set aside, but the PKTT still exists. I'm not saying they don't have to exist, but I'm saying in terms of the law, if executive has issued the directive of that nature, is either it get rescinded or it's set aside by the court of law.
So, are you saying that the minister was one of the people concerned about the PKTT, that you infer that from his letter of 31 December?
Repeat the question, Commissioner.
Are you saying that the minister was one of the people obviously concerned about the PKTT, as you infer from the letter of 31 December?
I cannot speak on behalf of the minister, but during his appearance before the ad hoc committee, he did give reasons relating to budgets, and one of Major General was here also. She spoke about the existence of some units called violence crime and so forth, saying there is an organizational structure in the South African police that has been approved, which allows for the PKTT to be absorbed into those things. I think it was just a procedural and a policy matter, which does not call for one to like or not or dislike it.
Are you aware that the minister has taken a particular interest in the murder of Sindiso Makakra?
I'm not aware.
He in fact told Parliament that he was considering appointing a ministerial inquiry into it. Are you aware of that?
No, I'm not aware.
Do you know what the Chief of Staff's position is in relation to these issues and the PKTT's alleged abuses?
As I said yesterday, Commissioner, and on my statement, the Chief of Staff, I would only talk to him during the ANC day and only if I did not reach the minister. So I don't know his position on anything.
And if we go to the topic of alleged corruption in crime intelligence, we know that General Sabia was kept appraised of your investigation in this regard. Not
that much. I remember I report to my handler. It is only here and there if I could speak to him, but it is my handler that I'm informing about any investigation.
So who else inside SABC do you think is concerned about corruption and crime intelligence that you're investigating?
I will not know who else has a problem. I know of, when you check the portfolio committee on police, how members of parliament will speak about corruption, and those that I mentioned, Ms. Meridi Haas, Patricia Mashali, and the challenge I know would, where the police or crime intelligence officers will really raise in many occasions, would be the flat rate fee of 3,000 rand across the board for informant, irrespective of the success and whatever.
Now, if your thesis is true, that the July speech was a misdirection tactic, it is possible that it may have been a misdirection tactic, but what General Mkhonazi said about crime syndicates controlling senior police officers remains true. You accept that?
Yeah, you know, I still believe General Mkhonazi, as a provincial commissioner, he did not have to go to the media.
That wasn't my question. My question was, do you accept that whether it was a misdirection tactic or not, it is still quite possible that what he said about syndicates controlling senior police officers is true?
It's possible.
And of course, misdirection can be played in any direction. So if there are senior police officers who are connected to criminal syndicates and they want to divert attention away from what General Mkhonazi said in his press conference, they'd want to use their agents to make sensational allegations against him. Would you accept that?
Yes, I accept that. However, commissioners, the possibility that you refer to, that it may be possible that there may be those connection between the senior police, it is also, the possibility may apply vice versa. It may be that, like what I was about to tell you about the CIT, that that thing exists on the same people who are misleading the country.
I hear you, and if you give us details, we will look into them. But what I want to put to you today is that your allegations about General Mkhonazi and Prince Makadi being CIA agents strike me as a misdirection tactic. What's your response to that?
Investigation is investigation. You may have that belief now, but ultimately the outcome of investigation will show whether we are correct or not, will show the result. But it's not intended to misdirect.
Well, let me give you a couple of facts. Yeah. You mentioned yesterday a coal mine in Richards Bay. There is no coal mine in Richards Bay.
It's correct.
But you mentioned a coal mine.
Yeah, I can rephrase and put it in proper context. The coal mine is in Mpumalanga. I wanted to say the end route, the route that is utilized is the Richards Bay one. Thank you so much.
Well, then let me tell you that the Richards Bay coal terminal is owned by a consortium of more than 10 different mining companies, each of whom have their own export quota. Did you know that?
I'm not aware of that.
And each of these, I think it's either 13 or 15 mining companies, control how that export quota is used. So they can decide who they want to export coal to from Richards Bay. Do you know that?
I was not aware of that.
You see, what I want to put to you is the notion that you advance in your statement that, and you refer to the off-take portion of this coal route. You say this off-take, the off-take portion of this coal route is owned by Israeli interests. That's what triggered this investigation, apparently. That notion is completely fanciful. Because short of buying up all the export capacity of between 13 and 15 different mining companies, it's not possible to own the off-take portion of the Richards Bay coal terminal. You know that?
I cannot give a specific answer, Commissioners. Remember, if you are given information, and that information also involves, like I said, the Chinese were interested there, and also involves not Mrs. Zulu, the prince, saying he's being harassed because of that, saying Lieutenant General Mkonazi is actually opposing him at all costs because of that. You end up believing that the state, that's why I've given that statement.
Let me give you another fact. You say in your statement that there was a fear that the coal terminal and the export route was going to be shut down. That's in your statement. That's apparently why the so-called Western interests got interested in.
Yeah, according to information, according to the source, that's what I heard. That's what we got.
What I want to put to you is that there's never been any suggestion from government that the Richards Bay coal terminal is going to be shut down, and that, on the contrary, in the period you speak of, government's been investing hundreds of millions of rands in improving the rail link to Richards Bay.
Yeah, Commissioners, the information was, there was a feeling from the West End that since South Africa took Israel to court, to the International Criminal Court, that may be halted. That's how I have phrased it.
Let me take it further. Do you know that since 2023, when you say this investigation started, the output of the Richards Bay coal terminal has been increasing steadily?
That may be, yeah, it's possible. I'm not conversant with that. I was sticking to my investigation, Commissioners.
You see, what I want to put to you is that if you or your handler were genuinely investigating a CIA plot through General Mkonazi to protect Israeli interests in the whole of the export, the offtake from the Richards Bay coal terminal, you'd have been able to discover the facts that I've just given you in 5 minutes on the internet. So you really wouldn't have come up with a story which is self-evidently absurd.
Commissioners, if whatever senior counsel has been saying comes from the internet, then, investigation, it doesn't work like that. And I'm disappointed, senior counsel, that with those powerful facts that may be written by someone who has interest, then they are presented before the commission, and I do not know. In fact, whatever that you've been saying, it means, remember what I said in my world, I can put up a website, take my people in 5 days, and give you the opposite of what's written.
I want to put to you that if you actually investigated the notion that, one, the Richards Bay coal terminal was under threat of being shut down, that, two, it was controlled by Israeli interests, it would take you less than 5 minutes to realize it was absurd. And I want to put to you that the fact that you didn't take those 5 minutes, you or your handler, to do it, suggests that you weren't actually investigating these allegations.
Commissioners, investigation of that kind, we don't go to the internet. You have 5, 6 people here with a board, those that have knowledge showing you what they think, showing you what is happening on the ground, showing you there is kind of a system which is used when you are dealing with that. And I'm saying in my statement, if you check my statement correctly, I'm basing, just like the chairperson said yesterday, he was using a different language about hearsay. A hearsay is tested until, through investigation, until you get the result. It's not that the result will always say, yes, General Mkonazi is a CIA. No, you investigate, you get the outcome, then you rely on what you have. But since we have not got anything, it means what you say will stand, but will not stop us from investigating.
So you want to put in issue that the Richards Bay coal terminal is controlled by between more than 10 different mining companies. You're not satisfied that that's the truth?
the interest, that's the truth, according to what you say. I'm not sure, I don't know. But when you talk of Western interest, commissioners, there is a term called this white monopoly capital. It's a different thing. It's not what you see, having 10 companies, having 5, 6, they will say black people, CEOs. That's not the case. When you talk of a particular business interest in the size of that business, it's not what you see on the internet. It's not what you see.
Well, what I do want to put to you is that the suggestion that General Mkhwanazi and Prince Makadi are CIA operatives working to protect Israeli interests in Richard Bay coal.
Is it not King Mrs. Zulu?
King Mrs. Zulu, I beg your pardon. Is one false, and is two a misdirection tactic. It's designed to take attention away from the allegations that General Mkhwanazi is making.
No, that's not the intention. It's not the intention. The allegations General Mkhwanazi is making, I'll give an example. Today, the whole country knows that Mr. Senzo Mchunu is corrupt, is aligned to the drug cartels. Till today, they have not brought one evidence that links Minister Mchunu to those things. Even they will say the same applies. Remember I told you about this Boko Haram and Kat Matlala. Kat Matlala is portrayed one of the big fives now. Let me tell you, Commissioner, South African Police Service, it is expected that is the only institution, whether ESCOM, Telcom, when you have an employee, you will take, or a company to appoint, you will take the profile or the details of that company to SARS, to South African Police Service for vetting. How did Kat Matlala go through the vetting process of South African Police Service to end up being appointed for 300 million and all these things? 2 months, 3 months later, the same South African Police Service says Kat Matlala is the big five. That's misdirection. They say Kat Matlala, Minister Mchunu was safeguarding the interest of Kat Matlala and all these things going to fund him. It is Senzo Mchunu, through the review, who cancelled Kat Matlala's contract. Isn't that misdirection, commissioners? I cannot cancel your contract now, tomorrow. 300 million, and we say you are funding me.
Before you continue, Mr. Shaskalson, something very important. I've always been correcting people on the pronunciation of people's names. I mispronounced the king's name. It's Misuzulu. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I also want to put to you that your allegations of Mr. Matlala paying bribes to General Masemola and General Mkhwanazi are also another misdirection tactic. And let me say why. We've been through Mr. Matlala's cell phone, and he is hardly discreet about his improper relationships with senior SAPS members in his WhatsApp communications. Can I give you an example?
Please.
You want to go to page 107 of the annexure. We'll come back to this exchange a little bit later, but I'm sure you remember it. It's relating to the witness who said he was being pressurized to change his story to falsely implicate General Khan. You remember that?
That's correct.
So Mr. Matlala says to you, in relation to this witness, arrange with Khan to give him cash if the information he has is worth it. So Mr. Matlala is indicating to you that General Khan, in his view, would be willing to pay a witness to give evidence that suits General Khan.
Yes, I see the message.
You accept that what he's saying to you is that General Khan will pay a witness to give evidence that suits him.
This is what Kat said, commissioners, not what General Khan said or myself.
I'm saying that Kat is not discreet about his communications in relation to senior police officers.
We can say that.
We've seen plenty of evidence in the chats of Mr. Matlala paying SAPS members to assist him.
That's correct.
We've seen plenty of evidence of Mr. Matlala communicating directly with SAPS generals and brigadiers in improper circumstances.
That's correct.
Now, if Mr. Matlala was paying massive bribes to General Masemola or General Mkhwanazi, I'd expect to see some sign of this relationship with these generals in his chats. I see signs of relationships with a whole lot of other generals in his chats.
Okay, commissioners, there is something that is missing here that need to be understood. There is a machine called Cellbrite. This Cellbrite machine is owned by different and private companies. It is the only machine like this, these messages and all these things that are presented before the commission. This machine is the only machine that is able to selectively download. That is why I believe that at the later stage, perhaps this process, one will say a Section 205 should have been obtained. I believe there is no way, even if I could not come to the commission and say, this was my infiltration, this was whatever, there was no way anyone could prove messages of my cell phone or Senzo Mkunu before he could have either the Section 205 or the two phones. And Advocate Johnson testified that the phone of Kat Matlala was tampered with and some of the messages were deleted. Now,
So
to base, commissioners, to base the process on the cell phone that was tampered with, on the cell phone that, it means these messages will only suit the narrative of those who had the cell phone first, before any other party could get the cell phone. So to say there's a message and then Kat is this particular person who will say this, who will say that. Commissioners, I was with Kat. And I said I came here to help the commission. I may not be able to answer all questions, but I'm not lying. I will not just come here. Imagine a national commissioner say, I did not say I saw Kat giving him money, but Kat told me I lost a lot of money. And it's possible. This is 360 million. It's not 30 million, 20 million tender.
I accept
So
that
to
Kat has
think-
been paying vast
yeah.
amounts of money to SAPS officers, just not the ones who you are trying to implicate.
Yeah, but those messages may be deleted that implicates those transactions.
We'll address the issue of the authenticity of this cell phone at a later stage. But do you accept that if the cell phone is proven to be authentic and not tampered with, your version seems incredibly implausible?
Yeah, but there must be a Section 205. You cannot say you did, if I did not want to help the commissioners, I would come here and say, these are not my messages, full stop. Even if you can say you have them, you must be authorized by the law, unless if the outcome of this commission will not be somehow binding or be taken to the next level or to any...
Mr. Mogotsi, we will do that exercise, but I don't want you to speculate as to what the outcome of it may be now. Can we move to a different topic, which is your relationship with the minister?
Before you do that, Mr. Chairperson. Yes.
Yeah, for the record, Mr. Shaskalson, please indicate when you're moving on to a...
Yes,
that we
I am
should-
going to move to a
Yeah,
different topic now.
If we have questions on that segment, we may put them.
Mr. Mogotsi, the last part of what you've said, you say you are here and you are presenting your evidence to help the commission. Now, you told us yesterday, and you're repeating now, that Mr. Matlala told you that he gave General Mkhwanazi a bag. I think that's what you said, in Durban. You remember that?
Yes, something, yeah.
Something like that. You remember that? Now, you haven't investigated that. You haven't put to us evidence of the truthfulness, one, of your conversation with Mr. Matlala that you allege, and two, that what he told you is in fact true. We don't have facts. We are a fact-finding body as a commission. You've made that allegation. How do you figure that helps the commission in executing its mandate?
All I'm saying is I came here to give my side of the story. Now, for one to say I'm misdirecting or this is a misdirection when I say this is what I know. If Kat was lying to me, he lied to me. But this is what I know. He told me. That's correct.
I'm not discussing misdirection. In fact, I come from a position of concern that you are making statements, even in this short exercise of cross-examination, none of which is backed up by any investigation on your part that you can produce the facts to us and say, here's proof. We know that you are close to Kat. You've told us you were with him. You don't have an affidavit from him that confirms that conversation, and that he told you, that you spoke to him and he told you what you say. We have only your say-so. And I'm concerned that we may well be grossly irresponsible and reckless as a commission, that we've given you a platform where you're making all these statements and you present them as facts and you keep saying, I'm here to help the commission, when in fact they're not backed up by any facts or even basic investigation on your part. For me, as a commissioner, that's a matter of concern. Do you accept that you're making statements that you have, for whatever reason, you're not backing them up with facts, even just this little bit about payments to Mkhwanazi and to Masim, to General Cele? It's not backed up by facts. You accept that?
I accept that, Commissioner.
And you accept that's not helpful to the commission if we don't have facts from you?
If the commission is a fact-finding body and I give you information, I'm giving it that commission can investigate. I gave example about the Boko Haram and the crime intelligence presentation.
No, allow me to stop you because I know you've got many topics that you're discussing. I'm worried that we don't end up discussing something that I wasn't raising. I'm raising with you a very specific thing. You said yesterday, Matlala told you that he went to Umhlanga Ridge and that was General Mkhwanazi's home. Now, if you've been following the work of the commission, you would know that General Mkhwanazi testified that his home is in Hillcrest. So you'd have done a basic inquiry with Matlala. Are you sure that's his house? Because in the commission, this is what he said. You did not do that. And then you come here, you don't interrogate him, but you come here and then you put it out there that payments were made at his house, or something was given to him at his house, and these allegations were made at his house in Umhlanga Ridge, and there's simply no evidence from you to back up those allegations. And these are serious, they have serious implications for people, and I think we should be concerned that you may be using this platform, at least to some extent, such as this, you're using this platform to make allegations like that which you're not backing up. If you have a comment, you can, but I raise it as a matter of concern listening to you on the back of this exchange with Mr. Chaskalson, that you're being challenged, that you've said things that are not backed up by facts, and you have to accept there are no facts you've presented to us.
Oh, okay. Commissioners, I was talking about the presentation that is in the crime intelligence. I was trying to say that. With that, I was backing up my story that former Minister Bheki Cele knew Kat before. Even his picture was there. He came and he said he did not know Kat Matlala. Was that not sufficient to show that he knew him before 2024?
Okay, no, thank you. I think you've answered me. Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
Can we move quickly to deal with your relationship with the minister? You're on record publicly as saying that you ran the branding campaign for the minister when he was running for Secretary General for the ANC in 2017. Is that correct?
Yeah, in my province, that's correct.
In your province?
Yes.
So you've known the minister since at least 2017?
That's correct.
And you have a direct line to the minister. Your evidence yesterday was that you only call the Chief of Staff when you can't get to the minister directly.
That's correct.
And we saw multiple signal chats that you had with the minister over the period December, January 2024, 2025.
That's correct.
And the minister was calling you on several occasions, not you calling the minister.
As people knowing each other is possible. That's correct.
Can you say why the minister would have no knowledge of you, or why the minister would, when he was first asked about whether he knew you, said that he didn't?
I don't know why he said that, for the fact, except the answer that I'll give you, what he said to me. I asked him, he said, the time when he was talking, there was a picture of somebody, which was, the impression was, the picture was portrayed as if it's Brown Mogotsi. And he said, I don't know this person, because it was a Zoom meeting from what he told me. But when he heard it correctly, and then he did say, I don't know Brown Mogotsi as an associate. I know him as a comrade from Northwest. That's what he said.
See. Let's talk about your relationship with Mr. Matlala. Do you recall the interdict that you spoke about yesterday when your foundation interdicted the Northwest Health Department around a tender?
That's correct.
Can we go to the exhibit bundle and the judgment in that interdict? If we can go to page 14 in the exhibits bundle. And I just want to get a chronology of this interdict out. So the judgment starts on page 13 of the bundle, and the applicant is the Brown Mogotsi Foundation.
That's correct.
And did you depose to all of the affidavits in this case as the named member of the foundation?
Yes, I did, after being given the authority by the board. I am not a member or a director of the Brown Mogotsi Foundation. It is named after me. It is the board would take a decision to say who can depose an affidavit. In this case, it was myself.
Both founding and replying?
That's correct.
So we see that the matter was heard for the first time on the 15th of September in paragraph 2 on page 14, and then postponed to 22 September for the respondents to file their answering affidavits. And in paragraph 4 on page 14, we see that the order was delivered on the 26th of September. So the hearing would presumably have been on the 26th of September. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And if we go down to the bottom on page 29, we see that the attorneys for the foundation were Tau Matsumela attorneys.
That's correct.
Sorry, page 28. Who funded this application for the foundation?
Different people, but I will not necessarily know all the funders. The owners, the directors of Brown Mogotsi Foundation will be in a position to know. But I know of a few, one of the companies that's funded, but I don't know the entire.
Which company do you know?
It was Mr. I know his name is Mr. Suleiman Karim.
Suleiman Karim.
That's correct. I don't know which company he used to fund us.
You've stated publicly that Kat Matlala funded this application.
Not funded. He helped that time.
Can we just play the video of what you said publicly? It's the video of 19th of October. And Chair, we should give this an exhibit number because it's not in the paper bundle. Can we call it exhibit BMC1?
I'm just trying to think, should we not keep a running list? Because we had an exhibit number with Ms. Sillo the other day. Was it Ms. Hassan? Ms. Hassan.
Apparently our exhibits are numbered CJ, and we've got to CJ.
Maybe to avoid.
CJC50, it's recorded in the file, apparently.
Oh, all right.
CJC50.
Thank you.
In July, he proudly disclosed his 2023 legal battle with the health department was funded by Vusi Kat Matlala.
He never told me in advance, "Oh, Baba, be careful. I'm a kingpin, I'm this, I'm that." We are meeting him as a business person. It doesn't necessarily say you are endorsing the person. I know Ms. Matlala. When my foundation took the Northwest Provincial Government, where we are, he assisted. There was a tender for 72 million in demand. My foundation, Brown Mogotsi Foundation, went to court and interdicted that process, and the tender was advertised. He assisted my foundation through the lawyers, stuff like that. So that's the level I know was Matlala. The matter even went to the SCA. You should imagine the legal fees attached to that.
So you say he assisted you. How did he assist you?
Ideas and other things, how to do it. It is Suleiman Karim only who assisted. Not Kat Matlala never paid for that legal thing.
But you said there that he did assist you.
He assisted not with money, not financially.
Well, how did he assist you?
Technically, ideas. Remember, this was not it was that tender in the Northwest Department of Health. It was tendered for by different companies in the Northwest. And all the time, it has been this thing of being won by the outside people. And this time around, they felt that we should, because there was some other processes which were not done correctly. It was to help the local businesses. And to contextualize that, because we never had an opportunity before to interdict a tender or like a bidding process within government department. It was the first. That's the only way. He assisted with ideas technically how that can be done. And we made sure, I remember that we were saying, must make sure that whoever helps this process must not be any company which has tendered. If any company that was part of the bidding process has intention to go to court, it must go unilaterally. It must not be through the foundation. And those are some of the ideas we got from Kat, not financially.
Kat gave you the idea that no losing bidder should help with the funding.
May I repeat the question, Bill?
The idea that Kat gave you was that no losing bidder should help with the funding of the application.
He was coming very clear that, look, if you are a Section 21, if you are acting in the public interest, you can't have whoever tendered being part of the application. If companies or whoever who has bidded wants to go to court, must go without without the foundation. So he only he helped us with ideas, not financially.
Not financially.
No.
And other ideas that he gave you?
That's all.
That's the only idea?
Yes.
But you saw fit to mention that as assistance when you were interviewed in October this year.
That's correct. That's my work. There was no way I could just go there and say, forget, we were talking about Kat. And Kat is my project. I cannot just go there and pretend as if I now forget my work. I never said he gave me money because I know who funded that thing. It's not Kat Matlala.
But according to your statement, Kat became your project, I think you said, March, April 2024.
Yes, that's correct, on the tender.
Yes, but you knew Kat already.
That's
from
correct.
The year before.
You even asked me, the question was asked yesterday, Commissioner, that did you have Kat's number? I said yes. It should be noted, Commissioner, I spoke about Boko Haram of 2018. So that's a different thing. It shows there was that stage way back that this Kat has been in the limelight.
So you knew Kat was John Wick?
That's the presentation that was given to show who John Wick was. And from that to establish, the part of investigation, to establish whatever that is said about Kat, it was important. One will have his number. One will want to know where does Kat stay.
Yes. But you knew that he was alleged to be a major-time drug dealer and gang leader going by the name of John Wick.
I cannot confirm that. I was confirming that John Wick, in terms of the intelligence report, is Vusimos Kat Matlala. That's the picture that was put there. And let's say, this is very, very important, commissioners. Let's say Kat comes, whether in any court of law or any platform, he's able to dispute that he was not John Wick. Let's say Kat was not John Wick. The point that I was trying to make is the picture that was placed on the intelligence report, it was that of Kat, and his name was written Kat underneath and John Wick. So I was trying to say, former Minister Becky Taylor must have remembered this face when he met him for the first time in 2024.
But surely by the same reasoning, you must have remembered this face and this name when someone comes to offer you assistance in how your foundation should bring a public interest application.
Yeah, even if commissioners, even if that time Kat could have wanted to help us financially, if he was not one of the bidders, we will accept. I cannot say I did not know him or I did not, there was no way we could work with him. All I'm saying is he was able to help, to give us idea, to help us to take this thing forward. You'll realize in the same application, commissioners, it was re-advertised, it went to the SCA, and the foundation did not proceed. Then it was re-advertised. You will realize that the same thing happened. The foundation did not participate on the second leg of this court application. Private companies were involved.
Who introduced you to Kat to give you assistance in this foundation application?
In 2023.
That one.
It was not a direct thing that someone is bringing Kat to come and advise. It's a matter that you know someone who says, you know, there is this brother, is a businessman, is based where, and this person can help us. And initially, we thought he would give us lawyers or something when we spoke to Kat, only to find out he gave us the technical know-how of going there. So I had his numbers. I could call him that time, but that time specifically, I called him to assist us with the tender.
So you were the one who made the contact with Kat?
That's correct.
And you had his numbers. This was before you'd met General Sibia?
Yes, not the one that came from General Sibia.
Sorry, not the one that came from General
Yes.
Sibia. A separate number for Kat that you had?
That's correct.
Do you know that one of the losing bidders, in fact, the losing bidder that subsequently took the interdict on, was called Alu Construction?
Alu Construction, yes. I don't know the company. I remember the name Alu Construction. I knew it through the legal firm, Tau Matsemela, attorneys. When they went to court, he told me that there were people, they said they saw me representing your foundation, and they also want to pursue a similar exercise. Their name is Alu. That's what happened.
So they went to the same attorneys, Talmadge.
And that's correct, Commissioner. I asked them how. Now, why did they come to you? He said maybe they felt that he knew the process and the case better because he was involved in the case before.
And do you know that Alu Construction are one of the entities in the consortium of Morgan Maumela and Kat Matlala that was awarded a lucrative contract at Tembisa Hospital?
I don't know the owner of this Alu, this Morgan Maumela. I saw him on news.
Do you accept, if I put it to you, that Alu Construction was one of the entities in the consortium of Maumela and Matlala that won the contract at Tembisa Hospital?
Yes, I saw that on the news. That's correct.
And do you know that it was the award of that contract that Babita Diekaran was investigating when she was murdered?
Yeah, I saw, yes, the whistleblower. That's correct.
And we know that Mr. Suleiman Karim has an interest in the Medicare 24 contract of Mr. Matlala. You've described him as an investor in that contract.
That's correct.
And we know that Mr. Karim, on your version, funded this litigation of the foundation.
Yeah, that's correct. That in the first instance, and he did not come to me. He did not go to the foundation. There was a meeting of small businesses which bidded for the contract, and we had somebody from outside Mafikeng won that contract, the health tender, and I went to ask him, and it was not the first time. I went to ask him that, Suleiman, there is this thing we want to interdict this because the business community is being undermined. The business community is now crying that they will never have an opportunity in this tender.
Do you know if Mr. Maumela has any interest in the Medicare 24 contract that you've been investigating?
I don't know.
If I were to put it to you that the chats between Mr. Maumela and Mr. Matlala suggest very strongly that he has that interest, what would you say to that?
It's what you saw. I cannot say anything about that. I cannot say anything between their chats.
So you, in your investigations into this contract, which was apparently your tasking at Crime Intelligence, weren't able to establish who Mr. Matlala's partners in the contract were?
I've not yet reached that stage, and even where we are, it is not because of investigation. Whoever was lucky to see that the message happened to come across that they are working together. I did not know that they were working together.
Can we look at the money flows in relation to this interdict? If you go to the exhibit bundle at page 2, do you have it?
That's correct.
Now, you'll see there are a series of Gotle Foundation statements, bank statements that are included in the exhibit bundle. These figures have been extracted from the actual bank statements of Gotle Foundation. Can you remind the Commission who Gotle Foundation are?
There's no Gotle Foundation, there's Brown Mogotsi Foundation.
Gotle Specialists.
Oh, Gotle Specialist is the company owned by my fiancée. She's the sole director in that company.
So it's her company, not yours?
No, it's not my company. I do not have shares. I'm not a director. I do not have any direct beneficiation from that company.
If we look at these money flows, we see that on the 10th of August 2023, there was an F&B payment from S. And the contract account holder is Tasmika Construction. If we go over to the right. And the amount was 100,000. In fact, there were two amounts of 100,000 on the same day, the 10th of August 2023. We can just keep scrolling so that we see Tasmika Construction. Can we scroll further to the right? So the payer is Tasmika Construction. Do you know whose company Tasmika Construction is?
Yes, I know. I know who's the owner. Suleiman Karim.
Suleiman Karim.
That's correct.
So we see on the 10th of August, there were two payments of 100,000 each from Tasmika Construction, Suleiman Karim's company, into Gotle Specialists, your fiance's company.
That's correct. That's correct.
And then if we go down to one row, we see that on the same day, there was a payment of 150,000 from Gotle Specialists.
That's correct.
To Kat Matlala.
That's correct.
Is this the funding for that interdict application?
I believe that's the one. That's correct.
So a couple of questions. Why was it channeled through Gotle Specialists?
I believe that that time, this Brown Mogotsi Foundation did not have the bank account had some problem. But in addition, my fiancée, she's also director of Brown Mogotsi Foundation. So there was nothing wrong that they could pay because a certain amount. And it's very much important that it be noted that my fiancé and Suleiman Karim, I thought you would have obtained statement from 2010, maybe 15, 16. They've had a relationship of business, subcontracting, all those things. I'm not part of that. I'm not even in the position to answer for that. And there was nothing wrong that the money could go through the Gotle, since one of the directors of Brown Mogotsi Foundation is the owner of Gotle.
So Tasmika Construction funded this litigation with those two payments of 100,000 into Khotle Specialists, which is your fiance's company.
No, I cannot say 200,000. We requested funding, and then, like I say, they have history. There are other transactions which were not related to that. But the amount paid to the lawyers, as is reflecting, that's the amount that has been paid. I cannot say he funded for 200,000 or 200, separate 100,000 rand.
If we, so you're saying 150,000 was funded from Tasmika Construction?
It was paid, I'm talking on what I see, was paid to the lawyers, that's correct.
For this case?
For this case.
And then if we go down, we see that there were two further payments of 50,000 each on the 19th of September. That's just before the hearing.
That's correct.
And they come with the reference from S. Is that from Suleiman Karim as well?
That's correct. That's correct, Commissioner.
And those two payments seem to fund a 70,000 payment to Tau Matsamela from Khotle on the same day.
You see, on the part of funding and how much was paid to the lawyers and staff, I believe it will be very much fair and appropriate for the Commission to direct either its communication to the director of Khotle, because I cannot speak on their behalf. And I went through this, I saw a lot of bank statements. I can honestly confirm now to the Commission that I will not be in a position to talk on behalf of these finances. Perhaps the Commission, if find it more important, could inform Khotle and get their auditors to bring their books and stuff like that.
Are you suggesting that you have no control over Khotle at all?
I'm not suggesting it's a fact. I don't have any beneficiation from Khotle.
Do you get paid money by Khotle?
I don't get paid money by Khotle. This is my fiance. You can go through, if you check the statement, you'll always see some references, Brown. It may be her error on a what you call a bank app, but the bank accounts where the money goes does not come to me. It's not my bank account. Yes, except for maybe 2,000 rand petrol when I do our personal things with her. But I do not control Khotle. I'm not the director of Khotle. I don't benefit from Khotle. And the Brown Mogotsi Foundation, I don't benefit from it. I'm not the director.
Mr. Mogotsi, we've extracted the payments to Brown coming out of Khotle.
Correct.
There's an amount in excess of 3 million rands in transactions that say payments to Brown.
That's correct.
How do you account for that?
I cannot account for that, commissioners. The moment, you see, you can check even on Tasmika or what is this? Tasmika plant. You will see there are even references. That's page 5. Tasmika and page 6. You see, from there, from the 25, it's loan. You know, I don't know these references, but factually, there's no way this man can, or whoever can borrow without any way that person is paying back. It's because on the app, cell phone app, banking app, you'll always have a reference, and when you pay, it always say Brown. But those monies do not come. There's no, except for maybe e-wallet or something, 1,000, there's no any amount more than 3,000 rand that ever came. And I can even challenge and request the Commission to do any investigation. Go to Khotle, get 205, get the statements and their financials. There's no
we
bank
will
account.
get the contras.
Thank you.
And for present purposes, I want to put to you that there are cumulative amounts in excess of 3 million rands that go out of Khotle with a transaction reference payment to Brown.
Now, that can be checked. Check their books. And on their books, you will see the bank account. I guarantee you, there's no bank account where this money came that is mine. And even if probably there are third-party payments, probably let's say it's third-party payments for me, the financials from those auditors and them, or if she's subpoenaed, you will get the truth. I'm not having any power over that. And then being called a businessman, I have a business separately from Khotle. And this came as a result of after I lost my wife. I kept what is mine separately from this. And it is, I can assure you, it's an error. It is an error on the app where a person, when sending money every time, in that reference, still written Brown. Just, I was checking, after you gave, fortunately, and thank you, Commissioner, for giving us opportunity to go this. Even this, I even called her, did you make so many loans from this guy? He said, no, I've got invoices, I've been working with this guy, but look at the references, loan. It's not, there are no bank accounts to this.
The references that say loan may well be incorrectly described, but they're not loans, loans that you give. There are monies advanced from Ziggy Investments, which is another one of Mr. Karim's companies.
That's correct. But,
so you wouldn't know whether Ziggy is lending that money or not.
I would not know. But logically, how can, like you can check on page 5, there is SSSSS, then there is PMT, then SS, then is loan. You can see this person kept, is an error on the app. He just kept that reference SSSS.
Yes, but the reference stays with the account number. So the reference is linked to the account number to which the money is paid.
Probably, I'm not sure.
So the reference that says payment to Brown is linked to the account number to which the payment to Brown is made.
Thank you. Then commissioners, let me request that the investigation should be done. You get the books from Khotle and the auditors and those bank accounts. And I'm acceding. You see, I said, except for maybe 1,000, 2,000 for the e-wallets or petrol, because I do live there.
You've done this exercise. Which payments from Khotle that say payment to Brown do you say are payments to Brown?
I did not. Yes, there is the one. Page 81. September 21. Sent 072-984-9779. 1,000 rand. 1.1. Those transactions of e-wallets, because even my bank account is not linked to Khotle.
Yes, but that doesn't say payment to Brown.
As I'm saying, those that are mine, they'll be in that fashion.
So when I look on the 18th and it says payment to Brown, 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 you're disputing that those are payments to you?
I can assure you, those payments did not come to me.
We'll get the contras and we will put them before the Commission.
Thank you, Commissioners.
If we just recapping in relation to the 2023 contract, we have a losing bidder that is the same entity that is part of Mr. Matlala and Mr. Mamela's consortium.
On which one?
The 2023 contract, that the Brown...
One of the bidders.
The Brown Mogotsi
Foundation
interdicted.
One of the bidders.
One of the bidders, indeed.
All right.
We have payment from Suleiman Karim for the application.
That's correct.
We have Suleiman Karim being an investor in Mr. Matlala's Medicare 24 contract.
That's correct.
We have Mr. Mamela being interested in Mr. Matlala's Medicare 24 contract.
According to what is presented to the Commission, that's why I say
We have a succession of chats between Mr. Matlala and Mr. Mamela accounting for every, well, keeping Mr. Mamela posted on payments from SABC.
But commissioners, between Maumela and Matlala, we need to agree they are not at my disposal. So I don't know if I must say correct. I must agree to that. I believe that you have cell phone chats which were not presented to me. And even if they were presented, I have nothing to do with Matlala and Maumela.
Coming back to the sequence, we have Matlala assisting with the 2023 application.
Yes, the idea. That's correct.
You say it's not financial, it's just strategic advice.
Yeah.
Can I take you to a point, and we have these 200,000 rands from Tasmika Construction on the 10th of August, from which 150,000 goes to the Brown Mogotsi Foundation.
That's correct.
And would that money have come in after you had been at your meeting in the community to raise funds for this interdict?
May you please take me to the page?
Which
Is it
page?
29, is it from the judgment?
No, you don't.
Oh,
I'm not talking about the judgment. I'm talking about you said there was this meeting in the community,
community
about
forum, business
a community forum that then said we
Yes.
must interdict this because local businesses are not being helped.
That's correct.
So it was only after that you'd only have raised funds after that. I'm trying to get a chronology in my head.
Myself, I don't understand, Commissioner. What is it implied right now? I thought I have agreed. I said, yes. When we went to court, I asked Suleiman Karim to help us. When we went to court.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if are you referring to the same request,
I am referring to that 2023 matter.
the same request that I made to him, that he should help us when he sent the money. That's correct.
Yes. And that was after you'd had your community meeting to start this case.
That's correct.
And that's how the 200,000 came to Khotle.
That's correct. After I spoke to Karim.
So what I do want to raise with you is, if you go to page E16,
60.
16, paragraph 9. Do you have it?
Underneath.
At the bottom of the page.
Yes, both the first and second respondent.
Both the first and second respondents argued that the application lacked urgency, saying that the applicant did nothing after it received the tender letter on 11 August 2023 and only approached this court on urgency on 15 September 2023. The applicant contended it made a mistake in its founding papers regarding the dates, and the month of September and not August is when the applicant was notified by the whistleblower about the tender. It received the tender letter during September, it approached the legal representatives during September, court papers were drafted during September, and the urgent application was instituted during September. So, if I can explain what's happening there. You launched this application on the 15th of September, your foundation. That's correct?
That's correct.
In a founding affidavit that you signed.
That's correct.
The respondent said, in your founding affidavit, you mentioned that you received the tender letter on 11 August, which means you've delayed for over a month, And it's not urgent, it's self-created urgency. That's what that's what was confronting you.
Correct,
correct?
Commissioner.
Then in paragraph 10, in correcting the error regarding the month, the applicant in its answering affidavit, it should be the replying affidavit, says, and this again was an affidavit that you deposed to, I apologize to the Honourable Court for the heading before paragraph 22, which reads events of 13 August 2023. In the affidavit I deposed to on 15 September, this was a typing error and was intended to read events of 13 September 2023. I further apologize to the Honourable Court for the referral to the date of 13 August 2023 as appears in paragraph 22 of the affidavit. This was a typing error. It was intended to read 13 September 2023. And then all of the August dates are apologized for and it is said September. Then the judge concludes at paragraph 11, based on the following observations regarding the dates leading up to the adjudication of the application on 15 September, it's in my view highly improbable that the applicant received such an important piece of information in the form of a tender letter, consulted with legal representatives, did everything that it takes to cause the matter to be ripe for hearing by the 14th of August, and thereafter decided to bury his intentions of approaching this court until a month later. Given the chronology of events as they occurred, it's my view highly probable that the events under 22 to 25 occurred in the month of September, not August. So what you were telling the court is that you only got the tender letter and you only went to lawyers in September, not in August. That's what you said in your replying affidavit.
That's correct.
But if we look at the money flows, you'd already had your community meeting, taken a decision to go to lawyers, advanced 150,000 to lawyers by the 10th of August.
That's correct. Commissioners, I'm trying to establish what the relevance of this.
Don't worry about relevance. Just respond to the questions. We will deal with questions of relevance.
No, to me, SC is adjudicating on a matter that has been decided by the judge now. He's asking question about something that has...
Let me put it to you. What I'm saying to you is you actually lied on oath in your replying affidavit. That these events in relation to the contract that took you to lawyers happened in August. And when you were called upon to explain why you only brought this application on the 15th of September, you lied and you said, well, these events only happened in September.
Yeah, you see, that's the thing, Commissioners, that I will not be understanding what initially what the SC was trying to say. And this happened in 2023. I'm trying to pick up the pieces that you said, the SC said, let me tell you what happened here. And then I've been trying to understand what it is. It's an affidavit that was prepared by the lawyers, who at that time were advancing reasons for the late agency application. And according to how SC is leading evidence commissioners, is saying, I do not think the events or the money issue here, the payment of money, was the reason we went to court late or something. Because I don't understand how do you say I lied in court when on the basis that I say we had a meeting with the community. Having a meeting with the community, those community members did not sign the matter, was to hear their frustrations, telling us that, look, it is time that the tender must be won by someone from here, and that did not happen. That is the point. So how the money issue got involved, I will need to be explained thoroughly so that I can be able to respond.
So how the money issue was involved was 150,000 rands was paid to the attorneys on the 10th of August.
That's correct.
And on the version that you gave on oath, to the court, you only learnt that the tender had been awarded to someone who you didn't want it to be awarded on sometime late in September, which I'm putting to you as a lie.
Oh, because of the whistleblower. No, now I get your point. The whistleblower came out that there's a tender that is being awarded. But only the appointment letter became available to be able to attach when you go to court that time. Now I remember. Because of the whistleblower, we heard that there was this tender. Similarly, if you check this Kat Matlala's tender, where I say the source, it was in April. But if you check the appointment letter, I think it was signed either in July or August. But because of information that you will receive it prior.
So you had received the whistleblower's report, and that's what triggered you to raise the money at the community meeting and then to arrange for the transfer to lawyers on the 10th of August. But you only got the tender award letter much later. Is that what your version is?
That's the version. I remember the events now, that the information came out earlier, and that information came in a form of proof that, look, adjudication has been done, evaluation has been done. I think that even the appointment letter is awaiting signature. And this was not followed. That's now information that you get. And you could not approach court on urgent basis without having anything that talks to that award of the tender.
So you'd heard from the whistleblower, but you hadn't got your evidence.
We did not have evidence.
Because you see, in your paragraph 22, which is quoted on page 18, you say you heard from the whistleblower on the 13th of September, which couldn't be true because this all happened before the 10th of August.
Commissioners, I'm still repeating this. How the lawyer put this thing, he was making sense to the court that time. Because I remember now, the appointment letter for that tender was not out, but information was valid that so-and-so has been appointed.
Mr. Matlala and Mr. Mogotsi, I stand by my submission that you're lying in relation to what happened then. You lied under oath then. But I want to put a broader proposition to you, which is your role as an agent essentially makes you a professional liar. You lie as your job. What's your answer to that?
That's not correct, Your Worship. That's not correct, Commissioners. Even when I spoke about the legend building and stuff, there's rules. You cannot just stand up and lie. This was a pure community project, and I did not lie. That's why they say they came aware of the timber. There was no way the lawyer could say in the affidavit, we had a whistleblower, and therefore the appointment date came late. That's how the lawyer would put his thing to court. So I am not, I will not just lie and I did not lie under oath. It was based on the circumstances that the appointment letter was not present, was not available at the time.
Are you suggesting that you didn't lie to Mr. Matlala?
That was now is a different case.
But I go back to what I put to you earlier, that your job as an agent requires you to lie for a profession, as a profession.
I may not have a comprehension about lying as a profession. As an agent, you cannot. There are rules. You cannot just lie if you are not in any mission.
And is it a rule of being an agent that you can't lie under oath?
And any matter that is conducted under oath, no one is allowed to lie.
Can I take you to exhibit bundle page 43? Do you recognize that document?
That's correct.
This is the affidavit that you gave to Colonel Schneller in support of the 252A application.
That's correct.
And it's an affidavit. If we go down to page 46, you'll see you signed it in front of a Commission of Oaths.
That's correct.
Can we see what you say in paragraph 1 of that affidavit?
I can see 100% what is
Do you want to read it?
that I'm an adult male employed in government with the Office of Minister of Police.
Sorry, I just didn't get the...
That I'm an adult male employed in government within the Office of the Minister of Police.
Is that true?
It's not true. I have, indeed, even yesterday immediately, I did raise this with the lawyers, that when I introduced myself to Lieutenant Snell, I never told him I'm an agent. And indeed, if you check what I was doing there, he was going to ask me, and he asked me indeed, that how can this man ask promotion from you? Who are you? How is that possible? Now that's how this thing, there's the sentence that says, I'm a male employed in the Office of the Minister, or else I did not carry the authority to conduct the 252A.
So, Mr. Mogotsi, are you saying that if you need to lie for a purpose relating to your job as an agent, it's okay to lie under oath?
It's not okay to lie under oath. You inform immediately. Even if Commission can draw attention to this, to the content of this affidavit, where I have requested a verbal, there are other transcripts, where I requested a verbal authority to conduct this operation and being granted, and the content says this person's, the extract, not the transcribed record says this person wants you to talk to the minister that at least he become a colonel. Is recorded. There was no way this can be practical to Lieutenant Schnell to say that man asked me to give him a promotion without putting this. This is part of the work.
So you're now saying you did lie under oath by saying that you were employed in government within the Office of the Minister of Police. That was false, and you knew it was false, but you thought I needed to do it to enable Lieutenant Colonel Schneller to give me authority under Section 252A.
Because I could not tell him that I'm an agent, yes. This was for the purpose of work.
So when it's for the purposes of work, you're saying you can lie under oath?
The circumstances commissioners should allow, like I'm saying, there's no any other example I can give. I'm conducting a 252A here.
Let me give you another example. Assume your handler said to you, it is very important for the purposes of this commission that you tell the commission that General Mkhwanazi is a CIA agent. And assume you knew that to be false. Would you then be able to come to the commission and say, General Mkhwanazi is a CIA agent because your handler had said for the operation it's important for that to happen?
Now, those are two different things, commissioners.
Why are they different?
Coming to the commission, you are here to provide commission with information that can help. The moment you lie, the commission will not be able to arrive at any level of assistance, cannot be assisted. There's no way you can be given instruction to come to a commission to lie. It's impossible.
Why? If the intelligence operation demands it, why is it any different from lying under oath in a Section 252A application?
Commissioners, if if instruction is to come here and lie, I could rather come here and remain silent. I don't think there's any reasonable agent of the law, agent of the state, who will come and testify in a commission or the court or any court of law and lie. Lying under oath is a crime, and if charged with perjury, you will be, whether you are an agent or you are ever, you cannot
I
lie.
agree with you, it is a crime.
Yeah.
But you have lied under oath in this affidavit that you gave to Lieutenant Colonel Schneller, which is perjury, is it not?
Yes, and Lieutenant Schnell is not the commission. We were executing. I'm saying if this sentence is not part of this, because the content of this affidavit is now, this is what happens. It is reinforced by the recording. The transcripts are attached, where a man says, I want to be promoted to become a colonel. He's saying that. Obviously, a police officer who comes to you, who you come to and say, I need an authorization, this thing must happen now. And remember, when you go to him, you go with a police officer. You go with a police officer who explains to him that this person is going to do a certain process, and this requires what you call authority. Then that is why you will see in the annexures the authority was granted. But this police, the same Colonel Schnell, will not write this affidavit if I say I am Brown Mogotsi, I'm just a comrade. This man, I promised him a colonel position. The affidavit would not work.
So the affidavit had to be granted, including a lie under oath, so that you could proceed with this operation to run the trap involving the officer who was going to implicate General Mkhonazi and General Kumalo. Is that what you're saying?
No, it was not intended to implicate General Mkhonazi or General Kumalo. It was implicating whoever who was plotting the dismissal. Whoever who, even if it was Jabu, it should not be mentioned that I went there because I knew this recording is going to implicate General Mkhonazi. No, that was not the case.
But that's not what you said in your original witness statement. In your witness statement, you made absolutely clear that you conducted this operation with a view to essentially ultimately prosecuting General Mkhonazi and General Kumalo for defeating the ends of justice. That was the whole purpose of this operation.
I'm still saying you are correct. Even if it was not General Mkhonazi, even if it was General Jabu or General Ma, whoever who was involved in a particular intention, that was the purpose of this operation.
No, but we're not talking abstract in the air here. At paragraph 36 of your witness statement on page 10, you say, the intention was to employ this person as a Section 204 witness against both Lieutenant Colonel Kumalo, and I think that should be Major General Kumalo, Lieutenant General Kumalo, because you referred to Lieutenant General in paragraph 37, and it was Lieutenant General, not Lieutenant Colonel, and Lieutenant General Mkhonazi, who plotted against Major General Khan with reference to the disciplinary hearing.
That's correct, Commissioner.
So that was the purpose of it. It was
of the operation, yes.
The operation was to end up with a conviction against Lieutenant General Kumalo and Lieutenant General Mkhonazi.
I'm not disputing that. It should not be that I woke up from my house with intention that General Kumalo and whoever must be implicated or somehow. The decision, the intention comes from the information as it comes, that here is myself, I have information that General Kumalo and General Mkhonazi are intending to do 1, 2, 3. Then you request what you call an authority to conduct a 252A, and is granted. Now you meet this person. The request, it is done through some channel. Now you meet this person. I'm saying, as an agent, I had to mention this, or else, because I was in work, I was during my time of duty, or else it could not be signed.
So when you lied under oath in this affidavit, you're saying it was necessary for the operation to continue.
That's correct.
You see, that too is false, because I want to take you to the date of this affidavit. Can you go to page 46? The date of the affidavit is 15 February 2025.
That's correct.
By that stage, the operation had been abandoned. And you don't have to take my word for it, you can take your own word for it.
Yeah, the answer is, commissioners can go to page 52.
Before you go to page 52, go to page 45, the bottom of paragraph 8. Bottom of page 45, paragraph 8.
In the main statement.
In your affidavit, the one where you say you're employed in the minister's office.
Okay.
You say, after our meeting, let's start at 7. Due to a family bereavement, I could not meet with, we won't mention the name, until after 13 February. This is the officer who you're going to use against General Kumalo and General Mkhwanazi. I am prepared to assist the DPCI in becoming an agent for that officer to be held accountable for his actions. So now you're going to hold the officer accountable. It's no longer General Mkhwanazi and General Kumalo. I'm also willing to testify at any formal trial that may take place. After our meeting, I had been communicating with the officer via WhatsApp, and at one point, I indicated to him that we should rather drop this arrangement he wants, as there were media releases that have indicated that Mkhwanazi and Kumalo had placed undue pressure on certain witnesses in the DRC to testify in a certain way against Khan. So you'd already decided to drop the operation when you signed this affidavit.
Yeah, that's correct, commissioners.
And so lying as to your position inside the minister's office had nothing to do with an operation that had to be authorized.
That's not correct, commissioners. That's why I was saying, if you check this thing, the date of the, where is the extract? The date of the recording, after it was done and been granted the verbal authority, this is it. It's page 53.
So page 53 is now not an affidavit, it's a transcript of your meeting with the SAPS officer who was going to implicate General Mkhwanazi and General Kumalo, and a DPCI, I think it's a colonel, who's going to assist you with the trap.
Commissioners, you see, I think these are the challenges that are there. And that is why it is so difficult in this country. Page 53 shows on the 6th of January 2025. This was, the recording has been done.
Sorry, I'm not sure that that's a date. It may be, it may not be. It's extremely unlikely that it's going to be a date, because this conversation took place on the 29th of January. But according to the affidavits, that may just be a reference number.
But it's written DPC Inquiry 0601-2025. And if SC perhaps believe it's not the date, but still I'm trying to say, when we approached Lieutenant General Colonel Schnell, the recording, the evidence was in my hand, was at our disposal. It is him who was not available. That's why I wanted to take you to page 45. Is it 45? Where the Lieutenant Schnell was not available, and I again had a funeral. But it does not take the fact that the recording has been done. And probably we should deal with these matters separately, commissioners. To deal one with the part of the affidavit where it is written that this is what I said. It's true, I said that. And according to SC, I do not know if the evidence or the evidence that is leading now, is it meant to say we did not record? There is no recording, because the delays. The fact is there was a recording.
No, I'm not disputing there was a recording. My proposition to you is that the existence of the recording is irrelevant to the fact that at the time that you lied under oath, the operation had already been abandoned.
It was not abandoned. Commissioners, it was not abandoned. The person who had to execute in the DPCI, if he was not available, if you could not find him, it does not mean the operation has been abandoned. The moment when he becomes available, it's a similar thing. When there was a search and seizure, if the police cannot find you, the day they find you, they're going to execute the search and seizure. We had the recording. What was important was to get this Lieutenant Schnell to do this thing for us. And we did it. And I'm saying there was no way this would carry weight if I did not attach this portion. That I say I had to do it, and without it, it wouldn't be valid. It wouldn't really mean anything. Because he would even ask me, how are you going to grant or give this person any position if you are not near the minister?
I'm not going to take this part further, because I've made my point about the perjury in the affidavit. But I do want to talk about this trap and this attempt to charge Generals Mkonazi and Kumalo further, because I think it's important to understand the full context of that operation. So,
Mr. Chancellor, before you start with that point, and we are adjourning at this stage.
Oh, sorry, Chair. It may well be time for the adjournment unless we're going to sit late.
Thank you.
It's enough.
Thank you. Let us adjourn and resume at 9:30 tomorrow.
Thank you, Chair.